Hi folks, welcome to this week's Inside Track with Scotty Sun. As always, I've got Jim Delahunt here with me. How are you, Jim? Looking forward to a good weekend's racing?
Yeah, cracking weekend racing coming up, Robert. And I think the thing we all have to remember this weekend is that word soft, SOFT, is starting to creep into the going descriptions. And we're going to have to take that into consideration because for the past few weeks, we've been lording it on good, fast ground on the flat. And it looks as though there's going to be a little bit of soft creeping in this weekend. So just a little word of caution, but we'll try and keep that in mind.
Yeah, we'll start with our usual gallop through the week's news events and a big talking point at Wexford the other night with Philip Burns coming out the side door on a horse for his father who opened 7-2, drifted to 13-2, was 1.14 and running, he comes off at the last. Wasn't a great look. There's now an investigation into it. There needs to be, doesn't there? They need to clear this one up.
Yeah, they have to clear it up somewhere, Robert. I mean, the only thing that I remembered Wexford for up until Wednesday night was the fact it used to be a right-handed track, and then they switched it to left-handed. But suddenly it's in the news again. I didn't see the race live, but of course I saw LaFurore coming over on social media, and I watched it back. I thought Racing TV handled it very well. Rishi Persad, the presenter, handled it very well, just asking the question, and that's all we can do. And none of us have met the Burns family lawyers, and we don't intend to. So we just need to wait and see what happens with this Irish Horse Racing Board investigation. Because what happened on the night was that, as you pointed out, the betting patterns, very, very, shall we say, suspicious betting patterns. And then Philip Burns came to the last on Redwood Queen, looking all over the winner, and was unseated. That's the best way to put it. So obviously Rishi Persad in the Racing TV studio decided to ask questions and wonder why the local stewards weren't taking an interest. And I think the key point here is that we're not accusing anybody of anything, but the key point here is the local stewards, and I appreciate it's Ireland, it's not under the BHA. The local stewards really should have had a word and just asked a question. That's all we ask. Asked a question. The Irish Horse Racing Board have now not overruled that, but they've now said, "Oh, we've now seen that, and we're going to have another look at it, and we might have a word with the jockey as well." So I think for everybody's satisfaction, the IHRB are going to have a word with various people involved in the race, maybe establish exactly what happened. I think it's useful to point out at this stage that jumping off a racehorse is not a good idea at any time. I mean, I rode out for 9 years. I would never have thought of jumping off unless I was racing towards a brick wall and a runaway, and thankfully that never happened. I have seen people jumping off a horse that was on the running out of control, and there is an art to it. But you wouldn't do it. You really wouldn't do it. You'd hurt yourself. So nobody's accusing anybody of anything, but it didn't look good, and that's the point. And it's good that the IHRB are now taking a look into it, and hopefully we'll get one or two answers. That's all we're asking.
Yeah, in terms of jockeys, the name Greg Fairley's popped up again in the news in the last few days. I mean, just back after a lengthy ban for stopping a horse. He has been out riding out for Charlie Johnson, Sandy Thomson, Ian Jardine the last few years. So he has kind of been back in the game to an extent,
Yeah,
but he now seems like he's going to get his license back. Does that sit right with you, or should these guys who stop horses be sin died? I mean, my personal opinion, Greg Fairley was 23
yeah,
when he made these mistakes. He served a long sentence for it. He
yeah.
still wants to get back in racing. With any kind of punishment, there has also got to be a bit of redemption, hasn't there?
Absolutely. And I think the key thing here is that the British Horse Racing Authority have looked at the case and they've said he can have his licence back. They no longer think he would be any danger to the integrity of racing. That's a good thing. He has passed all the tests that they've set. He's kept himself very fit, as you say. He's been riding out for, I think, Sandy Thomson, Charlie Johnson. I think Ian Jardine's been giving him a wee chance as well. And incidentally, what great form Ian Jardine's horses are in at the moment. Absolutely tremendous. But yeah, Greg Fairley, he's now 37. I think that's more of a problem than I'm just coming back. He's 37 years old. I'm sure he's super fit. He was a very good young jockey back in the day. I'm all for giving him a chance like you, and I wish him very, very well indeed with his comeback.
We've got the Derby next week. I mean, you were big on don't give up on the Lion in Winter a couple of weeks ago after the Dante. I mean, there's still a bit of momentum behind that horse. I mean, he's joint favourite, second favourite in some places. Do you still think he's primed to run a big race next week?
Yeah, I really do. I'd like to hear some good vibes coming out about who's riding what, because we sometimes end up in the Derby with Aidan O'Brien runners that one of their work riders ends up winning the Derby, like Paddy Begbie did famously a couple of years ago. So I'd like to know that Ryan Moore was going to ride this horse. We don't know that yet. A bit of money during the week for Delacroix. the other main O'Brien contender. So if Moore ends up on that one, your confidence in the Lion in Winter would certainly be dimmed somewhat. But I'm still hoping that Ryan will come down on his side. He's a horse I really like. I'm more than willing to forgive him that run in the Dante because forget all the hype about that race. If you just watch the race back and take the bare form and the way that horse performed first time back, having looked to get very upset beforehand, I think it's fairly decent effort on his comeback run, and he'd be the one I'd be most interested in the Derby at the moment. Do you have any other thoughts at the moment?
No, I mean, I think the Lion of Winter is definitely interesting. I mean, I think the Beckett horse as well is going to take a bit of beating, but I've not had a proper look at the Derby. I tend to wait until the fields are formed for these things before I
Yeah.
have a proper look because I'm sick of backing anti-post losers. The other story that's been in the kind of debated this week is the summer jumps. Now we'll preview the Perth Gold Cup meeting next Friday, Jim. That's on next Saturday. Both of us like our summer jumping, but there's been
Yeah.
kind of Racing Post had an article saying, "Oh, we should maybe scrap it," and then there's been a few other people saying, "Oh, just get rid of it." Now, I mean, that doesn't sit right with me. Summer jumping's definitely got its place. There's some horses that's what they're there for. It keeps trainers ticking over. Why would a jump yard sit empty for 6 months of the year? I mean, it's
Yeah.
crucial to these guys' business. The one problem I do have though is there's too much of it. There's far
Yeah.
too many winter courses. I've now seen the crowds at the summer meetings are getting and going, oh, we want a slice of the pie here. And I think that is your problem rather than summer jumping as a concept. It's just the fact that you've got so much of it now that courses that shouldn't be racing through the summer have just decided that they want to cash in on it. What's your take?
Yeah, that's a very good take, and I agree with a lot of that, especially when it comes to courses like Perth, which are all geared up for summer jumping. And Matt Taylor and all his team provide absolutely fantastic ground, and they get the fields to reward all the hard work that they put into that ground condition and all those summer meetings. So yeah, I'm all for summer jumping continuing. I have absolutely no problem with that, and there is a place for it. There is a place for tracks like Perth. I'm just looking at Stratford tonight. We're talking on Friday morning. I'm looking at Stratford tonight. It's a big hunter chase meeting. Small fields, but interestingly, the two big hunter chases, one of which used to be called the Horse and Hound Cup, 11 and 8. So those fields have stood up. When it comes to the big money races on the summer jumping circuit, the fields definitely do stand up. You have to wonder with the number of fixtures that they have at the moment, whether the number of horses can facilitate that number of fixtures. But as you say, if we go back to the core summer jumping season, with the core meetings, with the tracks which are clearly geared up for that summer jumping, then I think that's the way to go. So let's cut that fixture list back a little bit and just stick to the tracks that know what they're doing best.
Yeah, it's a flat we're going to look at just now, Jim. Although we will have go to Stratford later on, but we'll
Yeah,
start off at Haydock, where I've got one in the 148. Fine interview. Who's off the same mark as when he was third, narrowly beaten third at Doncaster in March. Former acts worked out well. The first is one, the second's one, a few others in behind have won. Hamad Al Yahani, a trainer for Qatar who's come over and set up in Britain, absolutely flying at the moment. He's had two winners his last three runners, banging in winners uh, regularly since he came across. William Buick's an eye-catching booking as well. So fine interview definitely caught my eye there. What about you in the Haydock card, Jim?
yeah, I'm going to cheer that one on for you in that race. Once we get to the Achilles Stakes, which is a listed race at 223, I'm very sweet on a big price runner. We like them. Hopefully, it'll be an each way odds on Saturday morning when most people are having their bets. But it's a filly called Balmoral Lady. It's trained by Ed Walker, whose horses are in absolutely tremendous form. He had a double at Sandown on Thursday night. He had a winner at Hamilton on Wednesday. He really is placing his horses particularly well. The Newmarket trainer. Balmoral Lady, she was around 14 to 1 when I looked this morning, which is not bad odds at all. Paul Mulrennan takes the mount for Ed Walker in this race. She was second in a list. This is a listed race. She was second in a listed contest at Doncaster in November when Safi Osborne was riding, and she finished second. It was a very good second, despite the fact that Safi lost an iron and couldn't really ride a finish properly. So the form is in the book. She will like that little bit of cut in the ground that I mentioned right at the top of the programme, Robert. She last year she won three handicaps and a listed race. She loves the rain. She loves getting her toe in, and she was third at Chester on her comeback run, which suggested to me that her handicap mark 99 isn't too bad. But they've chosen not to go for a handicap today. They're going back to listed company, and I think she's got a tremendous each way chance. That's Balmoral Lady in the 223.
Yeah, the 258's a Group 3. The nifty 50 Leicester Piggott Fillies Stakes. So which a cracking name. I fancy Strange in this. I think you had to be very impressed with the stamina-laden performance at Doncaster last November. So step up and trip here to a mile and a half should be absolutely perfect. The fourth and fifth that day have won since. I mean, Diamond Rain was 4 lengths back. That won a listed race at Haydock recently.
Yeah,
So all the form there stacks up. I just love the way that this horse powered through the mud
yeah,
at Doncaster. Almost came from kind of last to first to get up and win. So Strange is definitely interested. I mean, I know you're going to get Rich. It's about 94 or something. Shaha for the Goslings, Roshi and Murphy looks the obvious danger there. And then in the 333, I fancy Spycatcher, the Camage
yeah,
winner back in March. It beat James's Delight that day off the same weight,
yeah.
which won a Group 2 at the Curragh last week. Clifford Lee's back on board. He won him at Dover last summer. And I think Mount Athos is next door in stall 3, so he's a front runner. And I think he'll get a lovely tone to the race. Clifford Lee will just be able to sit and wait and pounce late on. I think at 8 to 1, Spycatcher's a good bet.
Yeah, I like Spycatcher as well. I was hoping that horse called More Thunder might run in that race, but William Haggis has decided to wait for Royal Ascot. They'll either go for the Hunt Cup or the Wokingham. So I did think that 7 furlong Group 3 on Saturday might be a wee test to see whether he would go 6 or a mile. But he's not running, and I'm very much with Spycatcher in that one. And also Oni Strange with you in the race before, Robert. I noticed Danny Tudhope was very, very enthusiastic about this horse when he was chatting in a racing TV interview this week. Danny knows his onions, as you know, and I think David O'Mara's horses and another stable which is in tremendous form. I think they're having their best percentage ever at the moment. So good luck to Strange and good luck to Spycatcher. Strange will be short. I did see a bit of 94 yesterday, Robert, but 74 sounds a bit right to me. And if we're getting 8 to 1 each way Spycatcher, I'll be happy enough with that. So obviously the other big meetings at York this weekend, they seem to race an awful lot at York these days. And one of the horses I put up in the inside track column on Thursday was in the opening sprint at 1:30. It's a horse called Baba Reza. It's trained by Julie Camacho. David Probert takes them out. Cal Rodriguez rather was jocked up to take them out, but it's David Probert. Certainly can't complain about that. David's in terrific form as well. Now this horse has only run 3 times in 2 years, so there clearly have been problems. But he did run. Where did he run? He ran at Chelmsford just a couple of weeks ago. That was his first run for 9 months. I thought the horse ran well. And if Julie Camacho is taking a horse to Chelmsford for a prep run, I think you should sit up and take notice because 6 furlongs on turf back closer to home at York is very much more the bag. And Baba Reza, I think, will run a huge race in that 1:30. The other horse that I'm quite keen on, and I think you are too, Robert, is in the 2:40, and it's now top weight, JM Jungle.
Yeah, I mean, he's chased Home American Affair 3 times at his last 4 runs. I mean,
Yeah,
anybody that watches this weekly will know we really like American Affair. We think he's a group horse in the making. He's got really solid yacht form. I think he's placed 5 times for 8 runs. I mean, I don't think when they entered him in this, he would have expected to be top weight. This is a knock to 105, and he's top weight of 96. So he doesn't look particularly well in at the weights. But I mean, he is progressive. He's been chapping at the door. Doesn't look like there's an American Affair in this race. So I think JM Jungle, owned by a couple of guys in Ayrshire, I believe.
yeah.
Yeah,
And if he's in here off 96 and a 0 to 105, that tells you it's not a 0 to 105. So that's
yeah.
probably a good thing. I mean, just forget the top weight. It's more to do with the rating. And I would say that JM Jungle, I'm right with you on that one. Jason Hart in the saddle. The only one I would put up as a danger, and I think the betting reflects it, so I'm not being very original here, is Duran for Nigel Tinkler and Faye McManaman. Nigel's horse is absolutely flying as well, and I think that one could run a big race. But I'm very much with you on JM Jungle. And in the Bronte Cup, which is an interesting race, always is. Last year won by Term of Endearment, which at the time was trained by Henry de Bromhead and is now with William Haggis. That one runs again, but the one I'm very much with here is currently a 3 to 1 chance, and it's for that man Ed Walker again. It's Scenic. I think this filly rather, is going to run a very big race. She's a course winner at York over a mile and a half, up to a mile and 3/4 on Saturday. That should suit. Second to Shahad at Goodwood last time. That was a very good contest indeed. I think the price reflects it. It's going to be very well fancied, but I think we'll get a very, very big run for our money there with Scenic in the Bronte Cup at 3:15. And the other one I wanted to mention at York before we move on to Stratford, Robert, was a horse of Roger Varian's in the 425. It's a mile and a quarter handicap. I headlined this horse in the column on Thursday. It's a horse called Moon Seif. Now, it's only raced past trees so far. It hasn't been anything at all of any note. Won at Nottingham and Pontefract, a maiden at Nottingham, a novice at Pontefract. So it hasn't beaten much, but the handicapper hasn't got much to go on. So he's had a little stab at 87. I think that might be at least £3 under what he should be, maybe a bit more than that as the season progresses. And interestingly, because Jim Crowley has to go to Haydock, Ryan Moore's been booked. So Ryan Moore for Varian on Moonseif in the 425. And I'm hoping that might round off a good day for us.
And what about over at Chester, Jim? Have you dug in it there?
Yeah, I was looking at Chester and I was waiting. The thing about Chester, as we all know, is the draw. We end up with horses are drawn high in these 7 furlong mile races and they end up being withdrawn.
Yeah,
So I did want to. I did.
they suddenly don't eat their breakfast, don't they?
Exactly. Or they're not feeling very well. But anyway, we're hopefully that's not going to be a problem this weekend because the first race I'm interested in, although they do still say that the draw at Chester over 2 and 2 1/4 miles is significant, but I'm going to ignore it completely here. It's a 2 miler at 320, and it's a horse of Jim Goldie's, horse called Trojan Sun. I think it's been a bit of a handicap project for Jim this season. In off bottom weight, technically £3 out of the handicap, but Amy Walk rides, and we all know she can do very light weights. She takes the £3 off. So Trojan Sun in off his correct handicap mark. 5-year-old, been to Chester before and finished third, and I think can go back there and win this weekend. Now, the going, I think, at Chester is going to be good to soft. He finished third on heavy. He definitely doesn't need heavy, so I think good to soft will be absolutely fine. So Trojan Sun for me in the 320. And the other one I wanted to give a big mention to was Spirit of Acclam for Mick and David Easterby. Another yard going well. Joe Mason takes him out on this one. She rode it to win at Ayr last time. That was 10 furlongs. It's up 2 furlongs to 1.5 miles. It's up £4 in the ratings. But if you saw that Ayr race or if you want to watch it back, it's very easy to do. You'll see that Spirit of Acclam had plenty in hand. I don't think £4 is going to bother him at all. And it looks as though Mick and David Easterby have found another race for Spirit of Acclam. That's at 3.55.
And then we'll just add a little bit of summer jumping in just to annoy the summer jumping haters. I believe you've got one at Stratford at 7:30.
Yeah, I know you've got one later, so I'll do the 7:30, and it's a horse called Imperial Merlin. Now we're hoping that John and Sean Quinn get that winner with JM Jungle on the flat. Let's see if they can double up over jumps. It's a hurdle race over 3 1/4 miles. Imperial Merlin hasn't run since Ayr. That was at the Scottish Grand National meeting in April, so not that long ago, just a few weeks. I think he's handicapped to win this. I haven't double checked the jockey. I think Craig Nicholls going to be riding. So Imperial Merlin for me, and hopefully about 4-1, like our jumps winner was last week, Spartan Warrior, and that's in the 7:30 at Stratford. What about you?
Yeah, and the 9 o'clock, I'm going to keep a close eye on the market. I don't know if I'm going to back this horse yet or not. Juan Bermudez, who is 2-2 for the Stratford when tamed by the Skeltons. He's since been moved to Henry Oliver's yard, where they gave him 3 really quick runs and shed £10. 3 runs in 4 weeks, shed £10. He's now down to a mark of 102. He's had a spin in the flat since then. I mean, looking at his recent form, there's absolutely no way he can win this race, but I just wonder if they're just getting him handicapped to take him back to Stratford. So the Henry Oliver yard is one that if the money comes, then they're usually worth following in. So I'll be keeping an eye on the odds for the 9 o'clock at Stratford. And if there's a bit of money comes for Juan Bermudez, then I might just jump aboard because there's just enough in what Henry Oliver's done since he got him to make me think that they might just be up to something here. They might have planned this race out for him. It's a step up in trip. He's I don't think he's raced this far once, and it was at Cartmel, so you can maybe put a line through that. He was pulled up, so Cartmel's not for everybody. So I wouldn't bother too much about the step up in trip, but the key for this one is, do you see a little bit of money coming for it? And if it does, the Oliver Yard are pretty sharp. They know what they're doing.
Right, we'll be watching closely, Robert. We're looking forward to a cracking weekend of racing and just looking at the fields again this morning. Huge fields this weekend on the flat. So it's going to be even harder than usual. And right at the top of the programme, I mentioned the fact that soft is now in a lot of the going descriptions. So just be careful out there.
Thanks very much, folks.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks, everybody.